16 immigrants living in Port Moresby speak of their struggles. Cancer patient shares honest truth about the cost burden. And Miss PNG and Miss Pacific Islands 2019 launched.
This is National MTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. With the asylum seekers on Manus making headlines in PNG over the last few months, many have not heard of the other refugees living in Port Moresby. In a strange case that neither the government nor the assisting non-government organizations want to comment on, there are 16 immigrants who have been living in the nation's capital under the title of refugee for over 4 years. For the first time, 5 of them share their struggles and the suspense of waiting for their cases to be determined for settlement in another country, which has aggravated their trauma all the more. Lilian Sopera-Kenea reports.
For over 4 years, 16 refugees have been living in Port Moresby. However, they have not been heard of, and how they arrived in PNG is still unknown. Brought in by International Organization for Migration, their journey to Port Moresby is not the same as the refugees on Manus.
And they are funded by Australia. So the same rules apply, but they are not known and they are just kept over there.
As the years progress, the suspense of waiting for their cases to be determined for settlement in another country aggravates their trauma even more.
Definitely, Australia would want you to come in through the proper channel. If you come in on any other way, then they are going to put you in detention. And so they've sent him here to be processed, but it is 6 years. Now 6 years is a long time.
The 16 are from different countries: Pakistan, West Africa, Sudan, and Central Africa. Their stories involved a very important decision: either risk long imprisonment, even death, or abandon their beloved country, family, and friends in order to find safety and freedom in another country. A refugee from Central Africa fled his country to escape war.
I will forget my daughter because every day I talk, I forget my mom, I forget my dad, no problem. It's my daughter. If I get free life, if I get good country, if I get good way, it's easy. I go get my daughter, stay with me. I need people help us go to that country. I know my situation, but I know some situation is very hard. Oh, my friend, I stay. Please, if your people have opportunity for help us, you help us.
At the moment, these refugees are under International Organization for Migration, also known as IOM. Although not much is known about these refugees, in an email to IOM requesting comments about the 16 refugees, the Chief of Mission responded, quote, "IOM is providing care and maintenance support for these individuals at the request of the government. This includes the provision of basic accommodation and daily living support while they await the outcome of their cases. IOM has no involvement in the actual processing of their refugee claims and or assistance in finding another settlement country. This falls under the responsibility of the PNG government. I am afraid IOM has no information on the processing timelines and thus is not in a position to comment on the government-led process." End quote.
So if you're there 6 years with nothing to do, then definitely you are mentally affected. And it is sad that we have put them onto a slow death because they are harming themselves. A few of them are committing suicide. Several of them have taken an overdose of medication. But the majority of them are on medications.
MTV has contacted immigrations but is yet to receive a response. Lilian Sopera-Kenea, National MTV News.
A group of 5 fourth-year medical students from the Pacific Adventist University went out of their way to build a veranda for the outpatient building at Togoba Health Centre in Western Highlands Province. Due to funding constraints to maintain the health centre and limited space in the clinic, patients always sought shelter under trees while waiting for their names to be called to be treated. The 5 students were doing their practical at Togoba Health Centre when they found out about the plight of patients. They contributed more than 1,000 kina and completed the veranda as well as building forms for patients to sit on and relax as well. Moving on, Police Minister Jelta Wong says he will push for an investigation into the delayed housing project at the Bumbu Police Barracks in Leh. The project, which started in 2012, is yet to be completed after more than 5 years. Mr. Wong said those responsible for the delay will be brought to justice.
These are the 7 duplexes at the Bumbu Police Barracks in Leh. Whilst it looks complete, there is still work to be done. Police Minister Jelta Wong said addressing the delayed housing project will be a priority this year.
I'm still waiting and pushing for an investigation into some of the dealings that went on with that building.
The project was initiated to address housing issues faced by officers in the constabulary. The project started in 2012 and was supposed to be completed by 2014. These 14 houses are yet to be completed after more than 5 years. In 2017, Police Commissioner Gary Baki dismissed claims that the police department had not paid the contractor.
Because I know we've spent a lot of money paying contractors and they are obligated to ensure that the barracks is completed, so they have failed us in a lot of...
Mr. Wong says an investigation must be done to find out the cause and those responsible for the delay.
I'm going to make it a priority this year to go after those people and make sure that they're brought to justice on the misuse of public funds.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
With the ever-increasing number of cases yet to be heard in courts throughout the country, the limited number of judges presiding over these cases is a matter of concern. Speaking after the swearing-in of the reappointment for 2 judges yesterday, Acting Chief Justice Ambeng Kandakasi said there is a need for more judges in courtrooms now more than ever.
The renewal.
The Acting Chief Justice says the judiciary is in great need of judges as there are too many cases and not enough judges.
I will uphold the Constitution.
He said the reappointment of the 2 judges yesterday helps in the need for more judges to carry the current load.
We hope that in the long term the numbers will be increased to help in the discharge of judicial duties imposed on us or vested in us by the people through the Constitution.
Unlike any other jurisdiction in the world, Papua New Guinea judges sit on a number of jurisdictions. That is the Supreme Court, National Court, the Service Court of Appeals from the District Court and Leadership Tribunals.
And each time new cases come in, so we need to, the aim would be to try and dispose the same number that comes in. If we can dispose them the same number, then we will be doing our good service to our people, delivering of justice. The more there is delay, and then some people die along the way, you heard of the phrase, justice delayed, justice denied.
He said the aim under the new administration is to see if the judiciary can reduce the long waiting period, and in order to reduce this waiting period, more judges are needed. So far, 37 judges were substantive and 4 were acting, and the ceiling is about 40. Judiciary will be proposing to government to increase the number soon. Annette Kora, National EMTV News.
Here with National EMTV News this Wednesday, we'll have more of the day's stories when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, together with government ministers, visited Maprik district in East Sepik province recently to announce funding for projects. During his visit, the Prime Minister opened the Naramko Community Health Post and did an aerial inspection of the Hayfield Airport and Maprik Cattle Project. He announced funding and construction of a major town market and opened a university centre. The Prime Minister presented 2 million kina to the district market and another 2 million kina for the sealing of roads and 1 million kina for cocoa rehabilitation. He also pledged funding to expand the Hayfield Airport. In addition, he presented 5 million kina each to Nuku, Wasaragawi and Ambunti Drekikir districts for health programs. He also made a commitment for the Sepik Highway to be funded and sealed. In relation to the repatriation of the late Tyson Kulara, who passed away a month ago in a state prison in China, the Department of Foreign Affairs is now in consultation with the Chinese embassy to establish the circumstances surrounding his death. Foreign Affairs Minister Rembing Pato confirmed receipt of a brief which he will have to go through first with his officers before releasing a formal statement.
Mr. Pato said considering that this is a sensitive matter surrounding a national's death in another country, he urged the media not to over-sensationalize information from all parties surrounding the full circumstance of the death of the student in question.
The full circumstance of the death and what the PNG government will undertake to do in relation to the death of the student in question, and how it will collaborate with the Chinese authorities, and what the Chinese embassy will do in consultation with us, are matters that we need to discuss, and we have not finalized how to move on it as yet.
While plans are yet to be finalized, the family have been advised to keep the integrity of the discussion between the government of PNG through the Department of Foreign Affairs and the government of China through their embassy in Port Moresby to work out a program in relation to the repatriation of the deceased back to PNG. The family of the late Tyson, who confirmed with this newsroom of their meeting with the minister yesterday, said that they are happy that the Department of Foreign Affairs is now preparing a diplomatic note to the Chinese embassy, of which is likely to kickstart the repatriation exercise for their son to be brought home to be laid to rest. Annette Cora, National EMTV News.
Yesterday, the 26th of February, marked a year since the 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck PNG. The epicenter, located in Hela and neighbouring Southern Highlands and Enga provinces, caused massive damage to villages and the deaths of about 100 people. The United Nations yesterday reflected on its efforts in providing humanitarian aid that has extended 1 year on. This is an extract from the short film.
We deployed to the highlands to respond to the needs of over 200,000 people affected by the earthquake and discovered a whole world that we were not aware of. But most of the things that we found on the ground were things that were there before the earthquake. So based on the principle of leaving no one behind, that we decided to stay and develop a longer-term program. And the good news is that out of a tragedy we can make an opportunity, and we are now here.
Papua New Guinea will host the Miss Pacific Islands pageant in November this year. PNG hosted the quest in 2010, and this will be the second time for the country to stage this event. PNG has also won the pageant twice, through Abigail Havora in 2015 and Leoshina Kariha in 2018. And to get things started, last night saw the launching of Miss PNG and Miss Pacific Islands 2019.
Since her crowning last year, Miss PNG and Miss Pacific Islands Leoshina Kariha has been actively working with the Tourism Promotion Authority. During the launching, PNG TPA announced a continued partnership with the MPIP as well as naming rights sponsor for this year's pageant.
Papua New Guinea Tourism Promotion is proud to announce our major sponsorship of 250,000 as naming rights sponsor towards the Miss PNG Islands Pacific Pageant 2019.
Apart from the TPA sponsorship, the Department of Community Development made a pledge of 100,000 kina to the MPIP. Acknowledging Miss Pacific Islands for being a role model for young women in PNG, Chief Executive Officer of the National Gaming Control Board, Imelda Agon, says NGCB is continuing its 300,000 kina funding for women empowerment. A further contribution from NGCB was also made.
The bigger program will be towards the end of November. And again, on behalf of the National Gaming Control Board and the government, I also make a pledge of 250,000 towards that.
While sponsorship and contributions for the pageant are being made, reigning Queen Leoshina says this pageant is a great opportunity for businesses and marketing the country's culture and tourism.
This is a great opportunity to showcase Port Moresby as a city and PNG businesses and corporate entities and what they have to offer to our region. It is also a chance to shine a spotlight on PNG as a niche tourism destination for cultural tourism, historical tourism, and as a gateway to the Pacific.
For the MPIP 2019 scholarships, it was awarded to the fields of agriculture, health, and education.
I'm also glad to announce that this year alone, 52 young women were given scholarships to the value of over 200,000 kina.
Patricia Kiamo, National EMTV News.
Financial company Kina Securities today announced its full year results for 2018. In an announcement to the Port Moresby Stock Exchange, the net profit after tax of 48.1 million kina was achieved, up 109% from 2017 results. With these strong results, the group also announced a final dividend of 12 kina 1 toya per share. The financial results were driven strongly by a full year of uninterrupted FX trading, supported by a strong USD correspondent banking relationship. The financial result was further supported by higher income growth across the group. During 2018, Kina announced a major acquisition of ANZ PNG's retail, commercial and SME business. Formal regulatory approval was provided by the Bank of PNG yesterday. This acquisition is expected to increase Kina's earnings and profitability, improve return for shareholders, enhance liquidity to support future lending growth, and improve its national footprint, and is on track to be completed by the 30th of September this year. According to Kina CEO Greg Pawson, these results set a strong foundation for Kina's vision to be the most dynamic, progressive and accessible financial services company in Papua New Guinea. You're with National EMTV News. We'll take a look at stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. A cancer patient who travelled from Mendi to Lae to seek treatment at Engau Hospital says he has already spent more than 200 kina just to seek treatment in Lae and expects to spend more money in the coming days. Joel Pape says it is a challenge to find the money needed in order to get treatment.
Joel Pape came from Mendi to Lae seeking cancer treatment. He sold a pig for 1,000 kina and paid for his way here. Since he arrived, much of his money has been spent on food and accommodation as he waits to be treated. It's difficult for patients like him who have no relatives in Lae.
Na time plus alone when I come and money and problem na some time city bislab and blow no one talk some plus in about the street na islami life and mad liklik lo isla.
Joel Pape is one of hundreds of patients from other centers who come to Lae expecting to get treated after being diagnosed with cancer. Many don't understand the actual cost associated with the treatment and the extras they have to fork out because of delays. Dr. Joseph Garab, who works at Engau Hospital, says average Papua New Guineans coming from rural areas can't afford the high cost. And when hospitals run out of cancer medicines, patients are sent to pharmacies which charge even more.
And we advise patients to go to the nearest private chemist. We give them prescription and they go there, and it's very expensive. It's very expensive, so it's not a good story. They come back, you know, some of them who can afford it for a short while, and then remember they have to go back and get a re-prescription, resupply. So that's where the affordability comes in. Can they afford it?
23-year-old Dixon Murray told MTV he had to purchase the drugs at the pharmacy after he was told there were none at the hospital.
Marasin the private clinic and expensive. Lokain manu semina borsen. Mino work as a student mistalo. Kev the parents say that parents no work. Slayan ba agramila fodro.
A cancer survivor, Toke Paul, who travels all the way from Goroka for treatment in Lae, says he was also forced to find money in order to afford the medicines.
Na something true like helping me lo siklo marasin no what now refer me come again lo pharmacy lo kisim cancer marasin. Na cancer marasin for black capsules and 132 kina. So mi no afford him desla something here. So mi worry no gutru na mi buy him desla no once. Na mi no mo kiss him now no money. Mi meri lo place mi mama lo place. Osena mi worry now refer me come down lo lay now.
Masa Luis, National EMTV News, Lay.
Turning overseas now, one of the Pope's top men is tonight behind bars in Australia as a judge decides just how long he'll be jailed for. Cardinal George Pell's sexual assault of two 13-year-old choir boys has been labelled a brutal and brazen breach of trust. Abuse survivors are celebrating developments as the Vatican reels from the news.
What could be George Pell's last taste of free air for a long time.
You're a maggot, Pell! A maggot! May you rot in hell!
The Cardinal, now convicted paedophile, shuffling, shackled by an angry crowd.
You're a monster!
His sentence then debated. The judge has already indicated jail time up to 50 years.
It is a celebrational day today, a wonderful day, because today is a day that Australian children are safer.
The media were not allowed to film today's proceedings, the prosecution telling the court that George Pell had never shown any remorse or insights for his crime. His defence argued the offending was no more than any other vanilla-type case of child sexual abuse that drew gasps from the public gallery. The judge clearly disagreed, saying it was callous and brazen. The Pope personally appointed Pell to handle the Vatican's vast finances, all the while he was hiding an atrocious secret: the sexual abuse of two 13-year-old choir boys while Archbishop of Melbourne in the mid-90s. The details, too shocking to broadcast, have rattled the Catholic world.
When the Catholic faithful hear that one of the cardinals is himself an abuser, it's really hard to continue to be faithful.
But the Vatican has stopped short of removing a pedophile from the priesthood.
We await the outcome of the appeals process, recalling that Cardinal Pell maintains his innocence and has the right to defend himself.
Meanwhile, honours are being removed from Australian institutions, including his former school. And the Governor-General will consider revoking his Order of Australia if his appeal fails. But Pell still has some support.
God is the judge, so we'll leave it up to him.
Even the deepest faith, though, unlikely to save him from a long period behind bars.
New Zealand Foreign Minister Winston Peters isn't Fiji for high-level talks as China's influence continues to grow in the Pacific. To counter that, New Zealand's pledged more than $400 million of aid to the region. But with China flexing its considerable muscles, some big Pacific players are feeling the squeeze.
The tide is turning. New Zealand and Fiji are looking ahead and, for now at least, facing the same direction.
We have to put the past behind us because the challenges and demands that face us scream out for attention now.
But it's an uneasy alliance with some major differences still on the table.
The last thing I'm going to come over here and give you some paternalistic, judgmental view of what's going on locally.
That includes the situation with major New Zealand company Fulton Hogan. After more than 3 decades working and investing here, it's lost a major tender for roading and maintenance across 3/4 of Fiji. The winner, China Railway 5th Group.
Fulton Hogan's made a point of employing and training up locals here in Fiji, but the loss of the tender means that more than 400 of its employees are expected to be made redundant, and many of its subcontractors will be severely impacted.
One News understands some local contractors are facing financial ruin, having taken out loans to buy equipment on the basis they would have ongoing work.
But the problem is that the Chinese companies which operate, not only in Fiji but elsewhere, they bring their own workers. So we'll see how many will be employed.
Fulton Hogan wouldn't comment, but One News understands the Chinese company is due to take over the contract in April. The Fiji government is adamant the tender process was an independent one.
People have set up businesses in Fiji from all different countries, so I don't think that you should be playing it into this China-New Zealand business.
We have not, in general, taken the view that our aid comes with these massive strings, namely, if you don't have us, we're not giving you the money.
It's clear this has been a valuable relationship-building visit, but it's still one of polite distant cousins, close brotherhood proving some way off.
For the first time, Theresa May has acknowledged that the UK's divorce from the European Union could be delayed. The British Prime Minister has offered Parliament a series of votes to decide between leaving the EU with her deal, leaving without any deal, or delaying Brexit altogether.
Her smooth departure has always been the Prime Minister's plan. Adamant we'd leave the EU at the end of next month, keeping the pace up to depart on time. But with no deal in place yet, Theresa May had to say what she never wanted to. There could be a delay to Brexit.
I know members across the House are genuinely worried that time is running out, that if the government doesn't come back with a further meaningful vote, or it loses that vote, Parliament won't have time to make its voice heard on the next steps.
So,
the United Kingdom will only leave without a deal on the 29th of March if there is explicit consent in the House for that outcome. Third,
the look for words she never wanted to say.
Third, if the House, having rejected leaving with the deal negotiated with the EU, then rejects leaving on the 29th of March without a withdrawal agreement and future framework, the government will, on the 14th of March, bring forward a motion on whether Parliament wants to seek a short, limited extension to Article 50.
Translated, if MPs kick out her deal again, they could choose to delay Brexit instead. Delay is not what Number 10 wants.
For months and months, she has said we will be leaving. Now she's saying something else. She's saying MPs might delay Brexit. Do people have the right to feel quite cross about that, or even they've been misled?
The Prime Minister is clear that we are leaving the European Union and no option is being taken off the table.
But the government's vital Northern Irish allies believe a delay is a mistake.
I think if they start changing the time, taking off the pressure, we'll just be in this situation in a few months' time. Let's get on with it now.
A delay might remove some risk, but provokes many more real questions. Yet Brexit is less likely to be done by the time the seasons turn.
There's been a dramatic increase in tensions between two nuclear rivals in South Asia. Pakistan vowing to retaliate after India launched airstrikes against the de facto border in Kashmir into Pakistani-controlled territory.
India says it's conducted airstrikes on an alleged terrorist training camp across the line of control, the de facto border between India and Pakistan in the disputed Kashmir region. The apparent strike took place in the early hours of Tuesday morning and came in response to what India said was, quote, credible intelligence about potential terrorist attacks. Now, this marks a significant escalation of hostilities between the two nuclear-armed powers. Officials in Delhi say the alleged camp was run by Jaish-e-Mohammed, the group India blames for a suicide car bomb attack in Pulwama in Indian-administered Kashmir that killed at least 40 Indian paramilitary soldiers on 14 February. At the time, Delhi alleged that Pakistan had a, quote, direct hand in the attack, a claim denied by Islamabad. And on Tuesday, Pakistan disputed the account of what happened overnight. Pakistani authorities acknowledged that Indian jets crossed the de facto border, but they say they were pushed back and that there were no casualties nor any damage to property on the Pakistani side. India, on the other hand, says a, quote, very large number of militants were killed as a result of its action. Pakistan says India's actions were reckless and put peace at risk, and with Islamabad saying it will respond to India's moves at, quote, the time and place of its choosing, the big question now is what happens next and whether tensions between the two rivals will escalate further.
You're with the news this Wednesday. We go for a break. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with Rugby League, and SP Hunters' new recruit, Epel Capinias, says he is ready for the Queensland Intra Super Cup season. Capinias was selected into the SP Hunters pre-season squad from the Agmac Gurriers in the Intercity Cup competition.
Back row and pro. Epel Capinias.
Epel Capinias is part of 17 players selected into this year's squad.
The 21-year-old from East New Britain province began playing rugby league 2 years ago. He was selected into the Egma Gurias team in 2017 before joining the SP Hunters pre-season camp in November last year.
Squad 2019 squad SP Hunters.
Being the last born in the family, Pell has drawn most of his inspiration from his uncles and older brothers who once played rugby league.
Yeah, inspiration lo miet mas start la uncle lo miet kam uncle lo mi play pini sol cousins lo mi brother lo mi na se mi last born se na ultimo se mi le
In order to make the SP Hunters final squad, a player must be determined, disciplined and must work hard. It has been a tough pre-season for the 21-year-old, but he says support from family and friends was his driving force to make the final team.
Yeah, beklo miet mas mola mas nam stala final squad. Mola mas straight na. Yeah. The one thing was me la make him all our mas na. We to me la make him meet me was. La talk thank you lo support lo family, lo friends lo me outside. Support lo me na now me come through.
With a large number of players selected for this season, making it into the final 17 will be tough. Capiniers will be working towards making the first 17 for the opening match against the Tweeded Seagulls in Brisbane on the 10th of March.
Mila make it just the first 17. Yeah, now Milo just make your something right now.
Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
Still on the Hunters, the SPPNG Hunters will stick to 31 players in the 2019 season, a tough choice that was made to keep that number. Previously, it was less than that, but it could prove positive for the team. A bigger number ensures there are extra players to fill positions when there is injury or players under suspension. Firile Sukina reports.
Finalizing a team that will take part in a season competition is a big task, especially when it is the SPPNG Hunters. The team started off with 60 players and are now down to 31. It's a big deal for players to make the team. For the new players, it's a stepping stone to perhaps a professional career, even a shot at the national team, the Kumuls. So far, this team for the 2019 season is the biggest. Previously, it was a 25-man squad, but this pre-season, the players have impressed the coach in their training and the coach has decided to keep the 31. Their biggest test is the season and whether their pre-season accolades can prosper as the season progresses.
There's no reason for me to cut them at all until I will probably watch them start to play a few games together here.
But it might be a positive for the team, especially when there are players under suspension or injured. It would be good to pull from a larger pool of players.
Suspension of players through this judiciary, so we can easily go and just grab a player that's already in camp to play and represent in the following week. Yeah.
His Majesty Adexwera.
There is someone that has gained a lot of respect. That's this season's captain, Adexwera. He could be the glue that holds together the team. Well, that's the indication given by the coach. Maroom didn't look far for a captain, with Adex already ticking the boxes of captaincy.
Original Anta in 2014 played grand final. Second player to reach 100 games. First player to play 50, play and score 50 tries.
Maroom is PNG's super coach. His observation on Adex is that he could be in the team for a few more years. Adex's new role could bring more to the team, and we could see a whole new level from the team's all-time top try scorer.
Outside for Adex, Vera, they're in, the Hunters.
Well, he's currently is okay. There's no major concern with him regarding injuries. He's still running around. A lot of times he's leading a lot of those young boys as well. So in training, so if we make sure he's okay, injury free again, we can, he'll probably make another 2-3 years.
Firile Sukina, National MTV Sports.
To Rugby Sevens, and rising star Fatima Rama, recently described by World Rugby as the world's fastest runner of the series, left her hometown of Daru in Western Province in 2009 in the hopes of reaching new heights and better opportunities. Fatima continued playing football in Port Moresby until 2017 when she was approached to attend a selection trial match for the Palais. It was then in 2017 Fatima seriously took up the sport of rugby with no regrets. In a recent interview, Fatima explains how it all started.
Before I started playing soccer, I was in the village. I was back home at in my place, Western Province, Daru. Yeah. 2009, they bought my ticket to come over this way. So firstly, when I came, the basketballers bought my ticket.
Initially a basketball player in Daru, Western Province, Fatima Rama switched to rugby union in 2015. While in Ley, Moresby Province, in 2017, a team from PNG Women's Rugby visited Ley to conduct trials for potential players for the national rugby team. Fatima took part in the selection trials.
There were selectors from here who flew down to Ley. That's when they did selection, and that's where they selected me to come and play.
This was the start of her rugby career at the national level. Fatima was determined to make most of this opportunity. Among areas of improvement, working on improving her techniques. From there, she went on to representing PNG at regional events. Fatima also made it into the final team to Rugby Sevens World Cup in San Francisco. In the most recent HSBC Sydney Sevens, Fatima made headlines back home for her tribe, showing her exceptional speed, with World Rugby describing her as one of the fastest in the Sevens series.
And I never knew that I ran that 80-meter run. Yeah. After the try, when I had the commentator, I had tears in my eyes. But the credit, it went back to that team. It was a teamwork and team effort.
And that's a great ball on the outside. Here's the flyer, Fatima Rama. She's quick. She's got Plight chasing. Can she outstrip Michaela Plight? She can. Fatima Rama with the dive and the roll. A spectacular finish to a spectacular try.
While she is proud of her performance, she says there is still room to improve. Currently, Fatima is in the train-on squad and hoping to be in the final team to this year's Hong Kong Sevens tournament in April. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports will continue with more after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To some sports abroad, a UFC interim title shot awaits Kiwi fighter Israel Adesanya, but not everyone is thrilled about his meteoric rise over the last year. A ward of highly anticipated fights ahead of a number of stars ranked higher than him, but Adesanya has been dealing with the fallout.
It's not that Israel Adesanya doesn't hear the haters, it's just that he doesn't care. After all, who hasn't doubted him at least once during this unprecedented run? 5 fights, 5 wins in 12 months. Throw in the legendary scalp of Anderson Silva, and now a shot at his first belt.
I didn't really care what they believed. That's all that matters was do I believe me? And then, yeah, so now here we are. I'm going to fight Kelvin. And then in August, I'm going to fight Robert and unify the belts.
Robert is Robert Whittaker, whose outright title is being protected as he recovers from surgery. And Kelvin is American Kelvin Gastelum, who Adesanya must first beat for the interim title.
When you look at the little poster, it says like Gastelum versus Adesanya. It's like 4 versus 5.
Yeah,
it's like 1, 2, 3 are in the equation.
I don't care at the end of the day. Like I said, all that matters is me, to me.
The Atlanta showdown against Gastelum in April will mark Adesanya's 6th UFC fight in 14 months. There's barely a spare moment, with media calling in from all around the world, even when dropping mum off to work.
Bye, Mrs. Adesanya.
Having had just 5 weeks off since last February, coach Eugene Behrman might just forgive him for today's late start to training camp.
I'm supposed to start on Monday, but here we are. I like to, yeah, you know me. I'm fashionably late.
But that's where the joking ends, as he looks to bring the first UFC belt, interim or otherwise, back to our shores.
To some golfing news, and New Zealand's current #1 is looking to emulate the putts of the great Sir Bob Charles. Ryan Fox arrived in Queenstown this morning after travelling halfway around the world.
Ryan Fox has had quite the journey to get to his National Open.
I feel better than I expected to. I haven't hit a wall yet, but I'm kind of expecting to any minute.
The now world number 68, completing the trip that started in Perth, went to Mexico and is now finished in Queenstown. He arrives coming off a tie for 67th at the WGC tournament.
I've never played at 8,000 feet before, and that was an interesting experience. I don't think I got a club right all week.
Fox is the favourite to win the tournament despite his whirlwind adventure, and one of those behind the event here at the Hills and at Millbrook is eager to see him lift the Brodie Breeze trophy.
The guy that sort of typifies the value of this tournament to me is Ryan Fox. He never asks for a thing. He never asks for anything. He just comes and he's always asking us what he can do for us.
One of those he'll compete against, expecting to see benefits for Fox from playing with the best in the world.
When you get to play with these best players in the world like he has over the last probably 4 or 5 years on the European Tour and in America, you get to see how these guys perform and you learn off them.
His recent success has also put him firmly in the conversation for one of golf's most prestigious teams events, the President's Cup.
We're getting emails every Monday discussing what happened in world golf and all the internationals and how they're playing, and he's in that conversation with 20 or 30 guys.
But for now, it's a focus on trying to get the win he would treasure as much as a major title.
Major would be bigger for a career, but to win the New Zealand Open would be something that I would want to have on a resume at the end of my golfing career.
Fox will tee off early tomorrow morning, continuing what's been a relentless trip to all corners of the globe.
And that ends Trukai Sports for this evening. We'll have for you the weather details for the next 24 hours when we return.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby cloudy with a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Daru, Kerma and Alotau fine. Popinetta fine, becoming cloudy with a chance of afternoon showers tomorrow. To the Momase region, Lae, Wau, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo can expect fine weather over the next 24 hours. To the New Guinea Islands region, rain and showers with thunderstorms expected in Kavieng and Lorengau. Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka can expect cloudy weather with a few showers over the next 24 hours. And to the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, fine, becoming cloudy with a chance of afternoon showers later on. Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabe can expect cloudy weather with a chance of afternoon showers. To look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Dararu to Kiwai Island to Kerma, Newell Island, and waters of Long Island to Medang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, sea 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Yule Island to Hood Point, Samurai Island, and waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, and waters of West New Britain to Bougainville, sea 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, sea 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Finschhafen through Vitius and Dampier Straits to CSA Island to Long Island, sea 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and waters of East New Britain to New Island, sea 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, sea slight to moderate with southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea, sea slight with southeast to southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, sea slight to moderate with northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, sea slight with northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that has been the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 27th of February 2019. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Goodbye for now.